Welcome everyone to our July EngRes The Gathering. Wonderful to have you all together. This is our wonderful agenda for today. Do our best to go lightning fast. There we go. So please try and stay on time. Keep your spotlights quick so that we make sure we get through everything. And if we have more extra time, we could do Q&A and share some of people's learnings and insights from the multitude of events that happened last week. And if you want to follow along, please scan the QR code and you can follow along and ask questions and leave comments in the deck directly, which just is a faster way for us to follow up with the many different people across many teams and companies who are presenting here to get you answers to your questions. And also feel free to use the chat. If this is your first time here, this is the Protocol Labs EngRes Gathering. We work across many different teams in the entire Protocol Labs network, pushing forward research and development projects from early stages across the development chasm into large-scale production and scaling. We're doing all of this to really help push humanity forward and build new computing products. As I mentioned, we have a ton of different people here from all different stages, covering early stage research all the way through to larger scale production, making sure that we also are bringing the great insights from the early days all the way into people's hands and the products that they can use every single day, and all of the many developments and breakthroughs along the way to actually achieve that point. So this is our mission as the PL EngRes Working Group, which is made up of all of you lovely humans. We want to help support and accelerate engineering and research breakthroughs across the Protocol Labs network through sharing the latest breakthroughs in protocol utility and capability, supporting network native research and development, and growing open source projects, networks, and communities. Not to steal anyone's thunder, but I always love to start by giving a quick recap of some of the really amazing recent launches and some upcoming things that folks can get excited about. This is what I hear by putting my ear against the wall, but I'm sure there's many other things as well. On the recent side, we get to celebrate two new awesome Filecoin hot storage L2s that have come out of the gate. Go check out both Storacha and Akave on Twitter, where they've been sharing what they're up to, doing kind of the initial early stage launch of their brands and their roadmaps on their way towards testnet and then mainnet on top of Filecoin. So welcome to the Filecoin family, friends. Big snaps to Philstore on closing their first paying customer for the drag and drop interface that they shared during a previous EngRes gathering a couple months back. Awesome to see more large-scale users onboarding on Filecoin and easy interfaces that help them purchase these annual plans. Network version 23 came to the Filecoin calibration network last week, bringing non-interactive POREP, fast finality, soft launch, and a number of other nice upgrades into our main test network for Filecoin, on our way towards NV23 and mainnet in early August. Also huge snaps for NFT.storage and Lighthouse, who both announced on-chain endowment pools. Really exciting to see that kind of coordinated bundling of resources to make sure the long-scale preservation of data has on-chain managed endowments. And then also, as I mentioned, last week was huge. We had so many different events from IPFS Camp, PhilDev Summit, Phil Brussels, DPIN Day. There was a PL meetup that I think I saw many of you at. It was awesome. It's probably where everyone got sick because there was so much hugging. But it was really awesome to get the community together in all of these different ways across the entire week. Looking forward, I mentioned NV23 is coming to Filecoin mainnet in early August. We're going to hear more about the PL Dev Guild in a hot second and their cohort 0 that they are actively introducing to the different teams across IPFS, libp2p, Filecoin, DRAND, and I think one other that they are working on over the next couple of months with all of these new OSS contributors. Curio has some really awesome improvements coming in August, landing Super Seal, all of those supranational improvements for a much faster, cheaper sealing experience for storage providers. Go check them out. At PhilOzLand, we're working on shipping some MVPs of proof of data possession and Filecoin web services. If you want to hear more about those, you've got to check out the videos from FDS to hear more about what we're excited about and planning on shipping there. Also in the videos, check out what Secured Finance is working on for a Filecoin-backed USD-pegged stablecoin coming in Q4. Very exciting as a new building block for storage providers doing deal making, all on chain, all Filecoin aligned. And last but not least, we'll get an update on the Filecoin Retro PGF round 2, which is going to be kicking off end of Q3. So very excited. I know a lot of folks are actively working on lots of things that should qualify for this public goods funding retroactive round. Quick reminders about some upcoming events across the PL network. Last week was super busy, and this week gets to be a little bit more calm, but more stuff is kicking off next week. There's Funding the Commons, which is happening in Tokyo. Hands raised if you're going to be in Tokyo, Funding the Commons. There's also EdCon that's happening that same week. DWeb Camp is happening beginning of August in San Francisco. That's always a fantastic gathering. Hope some people are going to make it to Camp Navarro. Web3 Summit is happening end of August. And then there's also the Aleph Ciudad de Crecimiento, which is happening throughout the entire month of August and even a little bit into September for all of the people who want to help the economy of Argentina build on top of crypto rails, fight against the significant inflation they've been experiencing over the past number of years, and bring more value-added startups and businesses into their economy. There's an awesome gathering of Latin American builders who are all piling in on Buenos Aires to work together and help push this movement forward. It's pretty exciting. So hope to see some of you there. Project updates. This is where a number of projects across the PL network share what's up, what's latest, and where you can follow along with what they're doing, starting, I believe, with PL Dev Guild.
Hi, everyone. Hope you can hear me properly. I am here to talk about PL Dev Guild on behalf of Katie. All of the work has been done by her. I'm only the face right now talking to you on her behalf. PL Dev Guild, we are super excited to share that our cohort 0 is now live after a lot of hard work. The broad goals that the PL Dev Guild is trying to achieve is to empower and educate folks, to provide opportunities and financial support so that we can have high quality open source contributors and also reward them and contribute to various different projects in our community, including IPFS, Filecoin, libp2p, DRAN, several others. These 4 are mentioned here because they are our technology partners for the first cohort. We also provide mentorship and growth to all of these open source contributors. All of them have been allocated mentors, either one-on-one or as a group of mentors to the group of contributors for a certain technology partner. And we hope to we hope to help them create impact as they broaden their open source journey and also win some handsome rewards in the form of retro PGFs. So our cohort has been running for close to 2 weeks now. We got 70 applications accepted, 20 participants, out of which 18 accepted our acceptances. You can check out the cohort directory. We have listed all of the people in the cohort, what problems they're working on, and a link to their GitHub is present. We will provide more details about what they're working as we proceed in the cohort. This cohort runs till the first or second week of September. And every week we are sharing updates in a Telegram Guardians group. Happy to share a link to the Guardians group if folks are interested in knowing what they're doing. And I'm so sorry. Yeah. And they've already started creating impact. I believe we have one person who has already raised 4 PRs, and a lot of others have at least identified issues that they want to work on, and they've been joining some of the calls that you all have every week. And lastly, we will soon be rolling out retrospective rewards for them as the cohort progresses, and we are soon announcing our cohort 1 as well. And yeah, we'll start taking the waitlist. We'll open the waitlist likely end of next week. And yeah, I've linked our info group where you can learn more about the program and a link to the Notion page. A huge shout out to the mentors from our technology partners. Thank you so much. Without you all, this program won't have a lot of meaning. I hope you guys are having fun with your guildies too. Thanks.
libp2p is a critical piece of the stack for nearly every company and every product in the PLN. So I'm here to give an update on how this project is going. The Q2 wrapped up a few weeks ago, obviously, and the items on here, we completed or nearly completed everything on here. The most important things were obviously the retro PGF funding down there and the community stuff. And we did land WebRTC browser to browser. And if you were at libp2p Day in Brussels, you got to see live demos and learned how to use this. So now we can actually do peer-to-peer networking from one browser to another browser. This is a huge improvement in capabilities, and you'll see much more of this going forward. The Q3, Q4 stuff, this list is fairly accurate. We got a lot of feedback on this. We did a SWOT analysis at libp2p Day. And so this is going to shift somewhat over the next week or so. If you want to have a say in what we commit to for the next 2 quarters, come to the community call next week. The stats in the lower left-hand corner, it's still summer. We're still seeing numbers kind of flat, but I think there's something wrong with the community dashboard because these numbers don't match up with what's actually on GitHub. And I'll show that in the next slide. We had a great libp2p Day in Brussels. We had over 50 attendees, lots of talks, and more importantly, tons of laughs. We had representatives or maintainers or creators, people core to, I believe, 8 of the 10 implementations of libp2p that are currently active, which was fantastic. Even C++ libp2p came all the way from Kazakhstan. I wanted to highlight that we are happy to be participating in the PL Dev Guild. Thank you, Niki, and also Katie for putting this on. We've got 4 great projects that we've been really wanting to get done this year, and with the PL Dev Guild help, it looks like we might actually do it. I've listed them here. And then I just want to highlight again, the community call next week is going to be critical for setting our roadmap going forward for the rest of the year. We're also going to be talking about the libp2p retro PGF announcements. libp2p technical update. One of my goals this year was to make sure that all of the implementations felt like they were a part of this community. We expanded from the 3 big ones that we used to report out on to all of the ones that get energy every month, right? And so this is mostly just a technical readout of all of the highlights. I'm putting it here just as a touch point so people can kind of just one slide glance at what's going on across all the libp2p implementations. And this is actually not complete. We're going to expand it with 2 more. So there will be 10 in total in the next month.
To remind everyone, the mission of Filecoin is to create a decentralized, efficient, and robust foundation for humanity's information. This is a collection of upcoming releases and milestones centered around 3 themes. This is coming from different projects around the community. First theme is storage L2s on Filecoin. Basin has a storage L2 for DeepIn compute and AI networks. Akave is launching a beta L2 on Filecoin as well, focusing on on-chain data lakes for compute and AI networks. And then at the end of Q3, a rebranded new team called Sriracha will be launching a hot storage testnet L2 focusing on social, gaming, and media use cases. In the second theme of making Filecoin the fundamental storage layer for Web3, fast finale on Filecoin will soft launch in November and NV23 and activated in NV24 before the end of the year. And there's also a new proof relating to hot storage in the works called proof of data possession. And then while exploring the proof of data possession, it became clear that as we add new proofs and services to Filecoin, a new protocol easing escrows and payment flows would be beneficial. So that spawned a project that is being called Filecoin Web Services. And I encourage people to read up on that because it's exciting innovation for the network. Then in the general theme of expanding the Filecoin economy and community, we welcome everyone to join PhilDev Summit Thailand, which will be at DevCon in Lab Week in November. Non-interactive ProRep is launching in NV23, which will make it easier to ease the storage provider experience. Seed Gravity has launched Filecoin as a backend for Nextcloud, so that's already out as we are slightly into H2. Ramo has also launched nearline perf storage capacity that feels like using S3. Curio plans to ship Super Seal to improve storage provider performance this half of the year. We will be holding a second Phil Retro PGF to spur further Filecoin contributions. And Secured Finance, as Molly mentioned, is going to be shipping a Phil-backed USD pegged stablecoin in Q4. If you have any updates that you would want promoted by the community, please reach out to me to help amplify. Thanks.
Quick update on the NV23 train, codenamed Waffle. We upgraded the calibration network successfully last week in Brussels together with Forest, which was very nice to meet up everyone together and see that we upgraded the network together. So we've seen the first NIPO rep messages landed on the network, supporting ETH legacy transaction as well as seeing like a F3 soft launch on the network. The upgraded calibration network was successful, means that we can progress towards the mainnet, and the implementation teams has aligned on epoch 4154640, which corresponds to 6th of August. And the implementation teams will start shipping mandatory stable releases next week. So watch out in your implementation announcement channel for those releases, as well as subscribing to the status.filecoin.io website. Thanks to everyone that has helped out with like this NV23 train. And extra shout outs to Ramo, Elliptic Research, and Forest, which has helped with getting all these FIPS across the finish line.
In NV23, we'll be shipping a test version of F3 to all the nodes on mainnet so we can test it at scale. F3, in case you're not aware, is the new consensus protocol in Filecoin to bring fast finality to Filecoin. So for like in Filecoin right now, it takes about 900 blocks for us to be really, really, really sure that things have have happened and are finalized. But there are a lot of other chains like Ethereum, you can wait like 6 minutes or so and you can be pretty sure at that point. So we're trying to bring this to Filecoin, so you can be sure in about 2 minutes actually. The first milestone is again testing on mainnet. We'll basically be testing it to make sure it works at scale, tuning it. We have a bunch of network parameters we can test as it's live. We can basically push new configs to nodes. And we also have fail-safe simps in case something goes wrong. We can just disable the entire thing. In NV24, that's when F3 will actually be enabled, assuming everything goes as planned. And this will bring us hard finality and fast finality within about 2 minutes. It'll also really improve builders' experience because now they can subscribe to the latest finalized block instead of just the latest block, and they don't ever have to think about reverts ever again, which would be really, really nice. After that, we can get a bunch of nice features where, for example, we get verifiable and or trustless snapshots. You basically just verify the F3 chain and then use that to verify your snapshot, so it's a lot safer. Trustless light clients. You can build a light client that doesn't have to follow the chain. It just follows the F3 chain, which is really, really tiny and very efficient to follow. It doesn't actually have to execute everything. And then finally, trustless bridging. Well, this is a little more complicated.
I'm Elsa from Filecoin Foundation's events team. We had a great week last week where we hosted Phil Brussels alongside ECC and probably ate our body weight in treats, waffles, and chocolates. But the foundation hosted a network base and a Filecoin booth at ECC. So we posted some stats there, but we had about 448 attendees at our network base, 11 sponsors, 34 Filecoin Foundation external speaking ops, and 150 lead captures, which is an all-time high for us. Our first day was in partnership with CoinDesk Live, where they streamed that portion of our programming onto CoinDesk's LinkedIn, Twitter, and their website. So we've reached about over 33,000 viewers, and their benchmark is typically 25,000. So very happy with those results. And on our stage, we had a lineup of announcements, including D-Store and Nuclear AI. I'll post our blog post that we had about those announcements on our stage. Of course, we had a ton of media coverage from Phil Brussels. So to be exact, we had 628 articles from verified news outlets that mentioned Filecoin.
Round 1 has just come to a close. Distribution is happening to the last handful of projects now, but it's pretty much finished. And it's been a fantastic process. So we had over 100 applications voted on by a distinguished group of 25 badge holders, allocating over 200K fill to many awesome projects across tooling, research, product UX, education governance, and other categories. So how did it go? Well, there's a few different indicators we can look at here, but like the first thing is, what were the top funded projects? Top funded projects were objectively very good projects like DRAN, Glyph Nodes, and Lighthouse. So that's a good signal that the Rhine is doing what it's supposed to do. In addition to this, we also seen a long tail of funding to small projects, which is super important. But as well as this, what Rhine success really means is as new builders coming along also And this is something we won't observe fully until sometime in the future. But we do have some data, self-reported data. So we collected data from badge holders, from funders, from applicants. And certainly from the applicant side, this was overwhelmingly positive. For example, on a question of how likely recipients were to build in the ecosystem as a result of being awarded Retro PGF, the majority answered 5 out of 5 likely, with a mean of about 4.5 and a sample size of 70. So that's like a strong signal that round is doing what it's supposed to do. More information on that in the round 1 review. So that's round 1. What about round 2? For round 2, right now, we're looking at badge holder selection. In addition to this, we're also looking at a number of significant iterations, both in terms of refining the goals and the principles and being much more specific in terms of what we want to see. Some of the things we're looking at here are on-chain payment, infra and tooling. We'd like to see client case studies, data on-ramps. We're also looking at improving the voting mechanism, UX communications, making it a bit more lightweight for ops too, and improving the governance of the process itself. In terms of round funding, we're working on it, but we're quietly confident there will be a non-trivial increase. So news coming there soon within the next week or two. In terms of timeline, as Molly said earlier, we're looking to launch the second round towards the end of August. But before that, we're looking to get some more integration with hypercerts to track impact and drips to be able to drip fill natively on FVM. And lastly, just to say big thank you to round 1 funders, PLFF, Web3 Mine Ramo, Titan Network, and to the applicants who created the impact, and to the badge holders who assessed it, and to the ops partners, Open Impact Foundation, Kariba Labs, Drips, and Gitcoin. Thanks.
Just wanted to give a quick shout out to our friends at Ramo for announcing Ramo Computer, a new project that is helping commit and consume resources on DePIN, starting with Filecoin. And they had a really awesome demo at EthCC last week of using Ramo Computer to run a sealing job on a lightweight laptop, which is really cool and exciting to see the growth there on enabling more and more people to participate as super light, unbundled mini SPs in the Filecoin ecosystem and bring their resources to add to the Filecoin community. So sorry they couldn't be with us today, but wanted to give them some snaps and go retweet their announcement from yesterday if you didn't get to see it.
So I'm Dan, I'm from the Textile team. In case you missed it, we launched Basin maybe a month or so ago. And Basin is a data L2 built on top of Filecoin using the IPC architecture for scalable subnets. So it enables this object storage layer, which there's a lot that we have in the works around future features with like Filecoin, archival, data availability type stuff. Wanted to like preview something that we'll be releasing in the next week or so, which is full AWS S3 API compatibility. So we'll have a library for this. We have a binary, which I'll show you right here in a MinIO demo. But basically, this just allows you to operate with familiar like S3 tooling. We even like tested it out on ClickHouse as an example. So it makes things under the hood work on this subnet architecture, but sort of abstracted through these different interfaces. But basically, you start at this like background binary, and then using something like MinIO, you can just like interact with it as you normally would. And when you create object stores, it's like actually interacting with the subnet architecture. It's creating actors or smart contracts that will be storing the actual data. And everything you're doing is just being signed over a private key that you use when you start up that daemon binary sort of process. So yeah, check it out. We'll publish it in the next week or two. So keep an eye out on our Twitter for more updates.
Mosh here from the IPFS project. I'm here to share some updates about IPFS, which has increasingly kind of wormed itself into every single corner of Web3 as the default data and content stack to make sure your data is verifiable and portable. So we have a number of components and toolkits that people are using to build decentralized technologies, from organizing data to verifying and authentication to publication to storing and sharing. And they're all organized around the principle of giving data content identifiers instead of random, arbitrary, and messy file names. And that allows you to build peer-to-peer networks and take your data in any place that the user or developer wants to go. Over the past week, through IPFS Camp and a number of workshops, we've really, I think, gotten together a large portion of the community to self-organize into a number of work streams. And really, ABCD is kind of a convenient way to think about it, but the first one is existential. So I think we have been benefiting from a lot of the goodwill and usage and adoption over the years, but we haven't really been talking about the more recent wins. So I want to give a shout out to Tau, which is a self-hosted Vercel alternative using Kubo. It hit Hacker News last week, 2,000 GitHub stars in a week. UCANs have been used by a major Web2 publisher, or actually they're started offline for secure permissioning of 18 million user accounts across business units. We're not sure exactly how many tokens were actually issued, but this is a technology design that was created and scaled to 18 million users. So it's really a fantastic concept, and you'll see some updates on where it's going in the future. Last week, a team put together a proof of concept for ebook distribution for an audience of 50 million potential users. Shout out to the IRO and NAES teams for getting that together. And we have a new IPFS service price projector tool. We constantly get inbounds from people saying, what's a pinning service you recommend? What are the costs? How can I compare? And shout out to Dietrich for putting that together. If you are a new or old or emerging or evolving IPFS-based storage service, and that's hopefully includes everyone in that Filecoin universe, making easier to use tools, please get in touch with me or Dietrich so we can include you on that service price projector. It's a tool that a lot of people coming into the ecosystem are starting to lean on for choosing their providers. Over the next couple of quarters, our priority is going to be helping IPFS-based startups and projects win, whether it's adoption, revenue, or both, however your team defines success. We're going to reestablish a solutions and lead gen pipeline and also revise project-wide metrics so we're focusing on fewer, better things, primarily end-user impact. The second is that someone asked about links. It's all in the slides, and I'll share it after I'm done talking. The building blocks are how we're seeing people increasingly use IPFS. So rather than committing to a whole stack, which some use cases do, it's much more frequent that people are coming just for the CIDs or just for distribution or just for authentication or just mix and match on your own, right? So we have, thanks to the implementations fund and the work of a lot of other teams over the past 2 years especially, really diversified and expanded the set of options that devs have to use IPFS in their tech. And that's going to continue with some of the coming releases you can see on the right side. But you'll see us starting to message around that too, and working with individual projects to shape those projects and make sure that they're cross-compatible. In the community and governance, we just hosted IPFS Camp last week. Our next big event is going to be a virtual project-wide town hall in September, and then we'll have presence at DevCon and Lab Week in the fall in Thailand. And last but not least, Web3 has made it if people are using Web3 without actually knowing that they're using Web3. And so there's a lot of work going on to get IPFS support into browsers, to get service workers and other JavaScript components into, to basically break down some of the key functionality of IPFS into JavaScript components that get loaded alongside web apps or loaded alongside web pages. So users don't have to opt into this thing they've never heard of. They just get to benefit from what's happening. And you can see a demo of native IPFS support in Electron. A really fantastic team is working on that. They've actually also built Chromium IPFS support into the Chromium software, and they're working, doing a lot of diplomacy and conversation and mailing list maneuvering and communication to try to get it formally accepted into the Chromium engine, which we believe is going to be a long-term project. There's also some great work going on to make the gateways better, more efficient, and make retrieval work better and be able to do that without by pushing more work to the end user of the browser. IPFS Camp was in Brussels over 3 days last week. We had 151 people registered. Over close to 60 speakers over 3 days. You can see a lot of the photos and action and demos that happened. My personal highlights, it was impossible to make it to everything, was a landing page UX workshop and all the conversations around that, building on that theme from CC about Web3 needs more apps. The Open Science Workshop, which brought together about 25 participants from across the science community to describe some of the problems that they had and try to connect it to some of the technologies that exist in IPFS. The UCAN 1.0 talk, release of the spec, and kind of a tour of all the changes that have happened, most notably a switch from JWT to IPLD as the core data structure. And to me, the most awesome part was seeing how many hacks and demos were either brought by teams to IPFS camp and shared on site, or actually built there, from teams or people that met and realized that they could build a meaningful project together through the course of the camp. We have links to galleries. All the talk videos are now up on the YouTube channel now. Thank you so much, Tiny Rebel, and a huge shout out to the MIWA team for producing this event. And we will be publishing some recap blog posts in the next few days.
Very quick update on IRO. We've been blasting along on new updates. We're on a release cadence of releasing every 2 weeks now. So at a high level, you don't need to grab every one of our releases. You can wait for the one that affects you the most, but they're starting to get a little meatier. This time we released a set of Kotlin bindings, so we now have first-party support for the Kotlin language. We've exposed our internal gossip systems, which have been there for some time. They just now have proper access right on the IRO CLI. The biggie that we've been got a number of requests for is MDNS local discovery. And so now we can properly say claim in IRO that even when you turn off wide area network access, nodes will still find each other, still find a way to connect, which was really fun because we actually ended up working on a bunch of upstream PRs to another repository to make that work. We're also converting to more standard web technologies. Our WebSockets, our relays now speak WebSockets as a transport upgrade, which is a preparation for browser support. More on that in the coming releases. And we also have experiments on DAG retrieval, which has been a very fun sort of dip back into the classic IPFS setup.
Are hitting our spotlight section.
Hey, Raul here. Welcome to the Interplanetary Consensus Update and Roadmap. Just as a reminder, our mission is to evolve and strengthen IPC as a go-to foundation for launching customized and scalable subnet trees on Filecoin. And we're actually very excited to host the many services that we think are going to be appearing in the Filecoin network in the next months and years, and that will eventually plug into Filecoin web services through IPC's framework. So very excited about the potential of these projects coming together as well. We have some pretty big news on the engineering front. So our first official release, and I say official because people have been adopting IPC before we actually made this release. So this is our first official release. It's called Axon R1. And we're actually introducing weekly lightweight releases from here on with weekly changelogs as well. And we're actually expecting the next release to drop tomorrow. So Axon R2 will be packed with awesome observability features like a journal and tons of Prometheus metrics, which is something that adopters have been needing for a long time. And I want to also touch briefly on our roadmap. We're shaping it up based on what users need. So users like Basin, who you heard from just a few minutes ago, Fluence, Atabe, Storacha, and so on. So if you're looking to adopt IPC, do reach out and discuss requirements so we can factor them into the roadmap. More concretely, in July, we'll be wrapping up this month with some serious top-down finality hardening. In August, we will be focusing on contract modularity and completing the gas subsystem and validator incentives. And we also have some great stuff planned for September. So unflagging some of the L3 subnet functionality, reconciling burns, gas burns across subnets, and more. On the community front, we'll be kickstarting a bi-weekly users working group as well. So ping me if you'd like to participate. And on the team front, the IPC team is growing. So a very warm welcome to Karel, who joined us all the way from Czechia. And we're on the hunt for senior engineers to join our team as well. So do reach out if you have some good referrals there. And catch all the details, the roadmap, and the release as well by scanning those QR codes that you see on screen.
Hi everyone, Elizabeth from NFT.storage here with a few quick updates around our new flagship product. So reminder, the new product is all about long-term NFT preservation. What that means is first, the creator onboards their data to IPFS, then they mint their collection, and then they send us the blockchain, contract ID, token IDs, and CID matches. So we have continued to iterate on this product, and this is what I'll share with you today. So first, we have our on-chain endowment on the Filecoin FEVM. We have a smart contract-based endowment where for every piece of every CID that is sent to us, we seed the endowment with 20 years worth of storage payment based at our rate today. There's a whole model around it. If you want to read more, ask questions, please do. There's a whole blog. You can also get on Twitter, help us amplify this message that we're super excited about. Shout out to Lighthouse team for leading development and launch of this as well. Next, we have added support for more networks. So when you send us the data, you have to let us know which network the NFTs were minted on. We've added support for several more networks as a result of customers asking us for that support. And finally, something that is on our roadmap is pay with crypto. We are very excited to share that we have released an MVP pay with crypto early access. This is not marketed yet, but will be soon. We have a couple of users who emailed us asking for it, trying it out first. And next, I wanted to highlight the NFT.storage working groups. So we have 5 working groups: the Cultural Preservation Working Group, Fund, Build, Grow, and Govern. The 3 I want to highlight today are Cultural Preservation. So join this working group if you want to help us preserve arts and culture. There are already a handful of super cool people in the arts community and other people passionate about preservation involved in this working group. Shout out to Jesse Dimani for leading the Cultural Preservation Working Group. We also have the Fund Working Group, where we have a few people involved there helping us with initiatives such as Gitcoin grants, and in the near future we'll be kicking off our campaign for Optimism retroactive public good funding when that comes around. The third working group I'll highlight today is the Build Working Group. This is incredibly important. It is focused not only on our new flagship product, but also on NFT.storage Classic. And for those of you who are familiar with NFT.storage, you probably know that Classic has gone through a transition recently where we stopped allowing uploads, and we are working on determining the future of the NFT.storage gateway. It's the retrieval for 680 TBs of data. So one of the projects we're going to be kicking off is working on the future of the gateway and the future of that data. It will remain safely stored for our customers, but what does that roadmap look like? If you're interested in getting involved, helping us with either of our products or anything else, please reach out. Membership starts at $100 a year for an individual. Our goal as a public good is to make it as accessible as possible for everyone.
Lighthouse endowment pools, we just made it live like 2 days back. And I think it's very important because this is one of the key things we've been building throughout our journey to ensure permanent storage on Filecoin. And I think how we are envisioning these endowment pools to be is, first of all, we have a Lighthouse core endowment pool that is already live, but then long term, we imagine like domain specific pools to be out there. And then like the NFT storage pool is already out. We'll have like more deep and AI specific pools into the future. And I think how you should think about is these endowment pools are essentially like pool of funds that's on Filecoin virtual machine handling all your payments for long-term storage of files. But then underlying, it's all Filecoin with all the programmability of applications, storage providers, whatever SLAs, etc. you want. And then we also provide you these verifiable proofs of space-time and pod size to ensure continuous availability. So I think as a team, we envision that long-term, these endowment pools also behave like not just storage, but also folks can pay towards these pools for access control and potentially even compute and FHE over these data as well to enable interesting kind of data economies. And something that we are proud to announce is also like the robust functionality around it. Like these endowment pools will lend it to protocols like Glyph or Filecoin staking to protocols like Aave through cross-chain bridges like XLR. So really like leveraging all the tools that we have out there. And then right now, the control of this pool is with like the Lighthouse team, but then this is one of the upgrades that will come up in next 2 months, where the control will move from Lighthouse team to like a whole DAO, which will be governed by our own, like, let's say the house token as we call it. And we're quite super excited about the economies that we're enabling that. And at that time, we'll upgrade the endowment pool to a version 2. Like right now, it's like quite basic with the DeFi functionalities, but then although it's not basic, but then it still have some robust functionalities, but it will have more advanced functionalities in the coming next 1 to 2 months. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, like when they talk about Lighthouse, they also do talk about, okay, especially the folks outside Filecoin want to know, okay, how does it differ from something like Arweave out there? And I think just to highlight some of these differences for the community members here, like in payments, we support until house token goes live. We right now support USDC, fiat. You can also pay per use using Filecoin tokens as well. And then in Arweave, you have only AR tokens. With us, we out of the box to get these proof of space-time replication and pod side. And then Arweave, like you get a proof of random access. And our storage price on average can be like 20% of what Arweave is charging. But long term, we imagine users to pay according to number of applications that they want and the number of years that they want to store for. Like we provide access control, they do not. And our scalability, I think it's already proven with Filecoin being as a base storage layer. And the storage length is also configurable long term, that you can configure, or you should be able to configure that they want to store for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or for forever, and then pay accordingly. And then our endowments pool specifically, they're already audited. And the focus there is that since it's smart contracts, folks can generate multiple of these pools and generate yield over it. So I would say like it's more robust functionality over existing alternate like Arweave. But yeah, thank you. And then if any other projects out there feel that there's like mutual synergies, like I see like many folks building S3 interfaces. So we are thinking, okay, how do we, rather than building that from scratch, like partner with one of them and then offer it to our users out of the box. Thank you.
This is Ropan from Git Data AI. I'm going to summarize everything as I don't have time. So JavaGFS is a version control file system. It supports data lineage and data collaboration, and it makes AI and machine learning responsible by improving data versioning, provenance, and reproducibility. So why JavaGFS? JavaGFS can version everything, track data provenance and reproducibility. So our approach is to advance open science with version control file system like JavaGFS and blockchain like IPFS and Filecoin. It mainly addresses the reproducibility crisis in open science and macroeconomic pressures on data spending, and the growing value of unstructured and semi-structured and multimodal data. Our system decouples model development into data developer and data scientist spaces, and it enables faster collaboration and ensure reproducibility by using static dataset snapshots for model training. We are collaborating right now. We are collaborating with different DeSci DAOs and publications and DeSci communities around the world, and we are approaching more projects for future collaboration.
Hi everyone, I'm Masa from Secure Finance. Secure Finance is basically building financial infrastructure purely decentralized manner, fully on-chain based. And now we're working on launching Filecoin and Filecoin liquid staking token based DAI-like stablecoin. So stablecoin is not just DeFi; it's more like a catalyst for the Filecoin based economy. So right now, we have on the right-hand side, Filecoin miners, service providers generate native Filecoin, and liquid staking pool generates interest rates, pool-based interest rate. That's really good. A native Filecoin, large-scale storage solutions could be paid in Filecoin. But on the left-hand side, this is a missing piece. It's basically, stablecoin gives a lot of benefits like economic stability and independence. Basically, if you have a lot of Filecoin, basically you can deposit and then just mint US dollar, and then can use it. You can use it as a funding source. And also it will enhance the ecosystem growth. If you look at the history of Ethereum DeFi ecosystem, it's basically fueled by the DAI, and Uniswap, Aave compound, this is all fueled by the existence of the DAI. That's so important for the Filecoin's DeFi ecosystem growth. And also it definitely improves the user experience. Imagine if you can pay US dollar denominated services and within the Filecoin ecosystem. So you don't need to convert or sell Filecoin to US dollar. Basically everything is happening in a Filecoin blockchain. So that's super cool. And this is opening up a more sophisticated investment strategy and lending and borrowing and even payments and also risk management that we're originally offering. So the stablecoins really creating the driving like a force for the economic cycle. The stablecoin is just like a synthetic token family, and we're working on the purple color, which is US dollar pegged stablecoins. And name is still like a placeholder, but it's basically that's the most demanded use cases, and we're working on the US dollar pegged stablecoin, but we can expand further to more like smooth, moving average based stablecoins or storage power based or like hardware index based or interest rate or real world assets. So all of things could happen, and I'm not sure which is the best one. So I think this is where tokens and governance voting would play to determine what is the best use case for the community. So yeah, and then next page, please. So lastly, this is the roadmap. So we just completed the Q2. We launched Filecoin, and now Filecoin bond market is existing up and running. And to build a Filecoin yield curve, we're adding new markets every quarter. So up to 2 years. So eventually we will have the 2 years yield curve. And we're on Q3, we're developing stablecoin. We already launched a secure finance point system and also launched Filecoin Infinity Quest. Basically, we're giving away double points for the Filecoin deposit on iField deposit and also placing limit orders. So that should be the great incentivization. What we need is the Filecoin deposit right now. This will be the base pool to mint a new stablecoin. So if you have a Filecoin, then yeah, I recommend people to help us grow and to mint the stablecoin. And for the maturity, like a synthetic token family could expand the horizon and the use cases. And then finally, as a TradFi, DeFi connector, we want to reach out to more traditional, like institutional scale of the derivatives professional, etc. That's happening next year. So that's it. Thank you very much.
I think it's myself truly in your deep dive for the day. We're going to keep it fast because we're pretty much at time. But if you go to the next slide, I wanted to give a quick recap on the PhilDev Summit that just happened last week. There were a whole ton of beautiful humans who all were participating and sharing and discussing and giving a lot of peace signs and a lot of corgis. If you look at the next slide from here, wanted to give a huge shout out and thank you to all of our sponsors who made this possible: Protocol Labs, Filecoin Foundation, Secured Finance, Ramo, Fluence, and Phil Swan. Thank you guys so much for helping sponsor this. We had 186 registrations, 116 showed up in person and attended, 70 speakers, 8 tracks, over 70 talks and workshops, which was super fun, super intense, 9 demos and unconfs in our day 3 unconf time, which were super useful and valuable, and our wonderful sponsors. So thank you so much to our speakers. All of these wonderful things are now up on YouTube. We have playlists for each of the different videos. JV has done an awesome Twitter thread on his recommendations of feeling the FOMO, what you should go watch to feel like you were there. I've also been finding this super useful because the downside of tracks is you don't get to be in everything in person. So I've already watched 10 of these videos myself and highly recommend it for everyone else. The QR code is there. I can also drop the link in the chat. If we go to the next slide though, this is a super biased sample of a couple of my favorite talks that I got to see. There was an awesome demo of Ramo Computer from VOOC. Really exciting to see things working live. The demo god smiled. Staracha introed and shared more about what they're building with their hot data storage network L2 on Filecoin. There was a great talk from Marla on Basin and what they're building. Definitely go check out Moss's talk for an even deeper dive into the Phil bond market, stablecoins, and points program. And then definitely don't miss Nico's presentation on Filecoin web services and how that's a really exciting evolution of how Filecoin can bring even more value to the many different DPIN services that are all wanting to transact and add value together instead of separately and individually. And so really exciting videos. Go check those out and share your thoughts, comments, and synthesis in various different channels and on Filecoin Slack. Thank you all so much for attending. If you'd like to share at the next gathering, please email EngResAdmin@Protocol.ai and or message us on Twitter when we drop all of these beautiful screenshots and this video early next week. Would love to see you all there.